Hey everybody, welcome back to Green Chick Gardens. I'm Jesse. We have finally moved into our house here, and it has been a little over 3 months since my last video, I believe. So we've got plenty to show you. Things are starting to slow down now that we finally worked on the house, remodeled a couple things, and so hopefully I will be able to get back in here much more often, at least weekly, maybe even more than one video a week, hopefully, if I can get around to it. Got plenty to show you, plenty we need to do in this greenhouse. Obviously, in the last three months or so, I've been doing a lot of work on our house here. And so I wouldn't say neglect, but I haven't been able to take care of these plants as well as I may have wanted to, just due to time constraints. Got a family, got a house to work on. But we're here now, and we're going to get into it today. I think I'm going to propagate a couple monsteras and repot them as well. We might do some other stuff, but the most important news is we're back and we're going to be getting at it better than ever. We got many videos that we'll be trying to get out at least once a week, like I said. So sorry for the delay, guys. Sorry I've been gone, but we're finally here. All right, so like I said, today we're just going to go through a couple monsteras and propagate and repot if needed. Like I said, there is many things that need to be done down here in the grow room. Tons of plants that need to be either repotted, propagated. There's just a lot to do down here. So we're going to have plenty of videos coming out for those. We got some more moss poles we're going to make. Probably my next video will be making some moss poles, stuff like that. But plenty to do. But today, just be monsteras. I'm going to show you a couple. I got one that's a pretty rare one back there that we are also going to look at today a little bit later on. I'm excited to see what its growth has done and whether it's ready to propagate or not. So the first one we're going to get here is a green on green monstera. You can see a little bit of the variegation right there. Some leaves are better than others on the variegation front. This is a very nicely variegated leaf there. You can see that green contrast on the darker green, the regular green, and then this variegation is a lighter green. And these older leaves have started to fade out a little bit there. But very pretty. I love green on green monstera. Some people don't. They think it's just not enough of a difference to really, I guess appreciate as much as you would a albo or even an aria. Personally, I love green on green. This is, I believe green on green is large form monstera. I'm not sure if there's intermediate or not. I have a couple of these. The other one's growing out. It's actually bigger than this, but it does not need repotting. This one, however, has been in hydroponics in LECA for a good long while. I may have even actually shown potting this thing into LECA almost a year ago now. It's pretty wild how quickly that has gone by. And as you can see, the roots are crazy. They're doing well. Look at all that growth. But it is definitely time for a larger pot. And I also think with the amount of roots growing off of the base of many of the different node segments on this stem here, I'm probably going to take a top cutting off of this and make a new plant, and hopefully maybe where this better variegation, or at least what I'd like to think is better variegation, a little further down, maybe we can coax some more of that variegation out. Still a beautiful plant. This one actually has really great, I'll have to show you that on a close-up. It has some really great variegation on the stem there, so that is definitely a bonus. That's on the newest leaf, so maybe I'm just not being patient enough and it'll come out with some more. But nonetheless, I want to propagate this and get a couple babies out of it. After all, propagation is my favorite part of the journey. And so we're going to take this out. First, I need to find a little bit of a larger pot to put this in, and then we'll get to it. So I'll be right back. All right, so we are going to just be using a regular old gallon pot here. It's got some holes in the bottom. I'll be putting the base of the plant in this with a little bit more leca, and obviously this will be a bit more grow room, so the thing can get a little bigger, and that'll be what I'll do with the base. Once I get this out of here, we're going to see where we could possibly take a cutting from for propagation purposes. Now, this is some pretty big roots in here, so there might be some root violence going on as I try to at least attempt to take this out. And so viewer discretion is advised. If you get scared about damaging roots, then you may want to look away. But as I have shown in many of my other videos, obviously you want to try and be as delicate as possible. Right now I'm just getting off like dead, rotten root parts. You want to be as delicate as possible with your roots, obviously. However, I do think we baby plants a little too much, and we don't realize that they're pretty strong and pretty resilient, and they will try to live no matter what we do to them. So it's okay to damage them a little bit. They're going to damage themselves anyways. This thing's been growing great, and you can see, look, that's all just rotten, kind of dead roots that have accumulated here. But like I said, obviously you want to try and keep as many as you can. So we are going to try and do that here. There's this large root right here. It's coming from here. I think I'm going to have to maybe cut a little bitty hole to try and get this out of the pot without taking this whole root off, because I don't really want to. That's a pretty large root there. The rest of it, I think I can get out, no problem. Let's try this out and see what we can do. A razor blade might work better, honestly, but I want to keep this pot if I can. I love these net pots. They work pretty well. But I've also found that just using gallon pots, just your traditional trade gallon pots, you could even cut some holes in the sides if you like, for a little bit more airflow. And they work well, and obviously much cheaper. They just don't look as nice, but not all plants are show plants anyways, you know. Okay, so we got a part of it out. I've cut one side of this out. I'm going to cut this other side here, so hopefully we can get this whole root through. It's going to be great if I do all this and then just accidentally cut the root. All right, so got it opened there. You can kind of see. And now I'll just try and take some of this leca out. It's tight in there, so these roots are probably quite grown into this pot. Whew. Come on now. Oh, there we go. Okay, so she's coming out. Let's just make sure not to snag this root right here, if we can. All right, we got it. So there she is. Lots of roots growing up in there. Looking good. A lot of new white root development. We were able to salvage this long root that was growing out of the bottom. So, since this is going right back in leca, I'm not really too worried about taking all these leca pebbles out of the roots. It just disturbed the roots a little bit more. The only thing I want to look at here is where I think I could possibly propagate this plant at. And as you can see here, let me try and get close for you. The internodal spacing on this plant is very, very close. There is the newest root right there. Now, obviously, I want to keep that one, and I want to keep the next root back because it's already pretty well established. It's this one right here, and it comes down here. So I want to try and keep those two. And then here is where I'd have to cut, somewhere right in here. And that's going to be close. That's going to be real close. Now I can do it, and we might, let's see. No, I think I'll be able to do that without even losing a leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll adjust the camera over here, get my razor blade out, and we're going to take a cutting. Okay, so here is our monstera. We're looking to make a cut where we can keep this root and also this longer one right here, which means obviously we got to cut back behind it, and I will be able to slice through here without taking off either of these petioles. At least I think I should be able to. And then we'll have at least a good solid base for our new plant here with already one established root, one starting to pop, and then obviously we have great roots here for the old plant or the base plant. Got me a new razor blade here. I had a razor blade kit with tools for carving kind of that works much easier. Since we've moved, I can't find it, so just using this for now. This is a clean one. Obviously, everybody's going to say use a sterile cutting equipment when you're taking propagations. So we're just going to go in here and cut right here on this line, and just try and do it slowly and gently so that we don't damage any of the rest of this plant, hopefully. And guess let's go for it. So I'm cutting into the plant. You can kind of see, try to get you a good angle of it. I'm just cutting downwards, applying pressure, and just kind of seesawing back and forth. You can kind of split it open there. You see that? That way I can get in there and keep going. I want to make sure I'm not going to get too close to that other leaf. If you cut a leaf off, not the biggest deal. I mean, just don't want to if I don't have to, obviously. Help the plant grow, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you do. So now I'm just basically sawing through. We're almost there. See it splitting apart. Got just a little bit more to go here. And there we go. Let me sit this down. So that's our new plant. You can see where I've cut. We managed to keep this whole root right here, which that's a great starter root for our new plant. And this one will grow pretty quickly as well. And that's part of the old petiole. And so that's our new plant. That's a new start for our new plant, where I'll take that and sit it down. What I'll do with these is dab charcoal around the wound here, let it dry for at least an hour, 2 hours, and then I'll tend to it. I'll probably just put this in sphagnum. I'll show you that when we get there. Let's look at this side of it for now, the base cutting. So here is our base. We still got all our leaves. Didn't cut any off there. So it looks good. We're going to have, obviously, we got where our nodes are is going to be where these petioles kind of have them hidden. We're probably going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 or so nodes. They not all of them may activate, but we'll probably get 2 or 3 that'll activate and swell. One will kind of take the lead as the lead node and start to grow. But we might get a couple of heads off of this, 2 heads, 3 heads maybe, where we get new growth points coming off of. And that's what we want here as kind of a mother plant. We're just trying to grow it so we can propagate it and then let her grow on again. But she's already got great roots, so we're going to pot her up now. Like I said, I got a little just tray of charcoal here, and I'll take that wound and just kind of dab it in the charcoal, cover the wound up, and then sit that and let it dry for a little while. Okay, so after that one is done, we're also going to take a little bit of charcoal and put it on the open wound of this one as well. I don't always do this. This plant will be much stronger, but just going to take my razor blade and kind of dab some charcoal in there. It'll help dry it out a little quicker and lessen the risk of a little rot developing down there on the plant. There we go. There's our horticultural charcoal. Okay, and then after that, it's going to be pretty simple here for this one. We are going to get some leca. I'm going to stick this puppy in a pot and give her a drink and let her get back to growing. Okay. And we won't be using like a rope or string or anything on this one. These are just my pots that I just put these in, or put leca in these. And then I use trays like this and sit water in them. And it just wicks itself up on its own. In go our roots. I am going to leave this base above the soil line as well so it doesn't stay too wet. One more cup and I think we'll be all done. Just a little bit more. Okay. All right, and there is our green on green monstera in its new pot. And like I said, we were trying to promote a little bit more variegation on this one. This was the newest, or is now the oldest leaf on this plant, and or the youngest leaf, excuse me. It's where the new growth will come from. It is the best variegation I saw on this plant. It's a couple more pretty nice variegated leaves. And so hopefully the variegation on the stem there will be close at least to where the node is. And when it activates, hopefully we'll get some good variegation out of it. But all right, so here is our mama plant. I can show you the variegation a lot better here with this camera view. And then here's that newest leaf. Very pretty variegation, in my opinion. Like I said, some people don't like the green on green. So here is our plant in the pot. There's where we charcoaled the cut we made. And there will be a couple growth points that'll swell up and come out of here. And obviously you can see I got charcoal a little bit on places, but no big deal, it'll wash itself off. So that's our plant, and we'll fill this with water and let her go. We're going to go to our next monstera here. I'll see which one I want to get. All right, so next up on our monstera propagations is a Monstera adansonii, and this is a Tricolor Kunzo line Monstera adansonii, and it is beautifully variegated. And you know, these are some that I probably don't pay enough attention to, or the adansonii. There's many different varieties, cultivars of adansonii. And I don't know, I'm more of a deliciosa fan myself, just the bigger leaves and different colors, I guess. But there are plenty of colors in the adansonii. This one, we're not going to repot. It's just in some sphagnum moss with a little leca at the bottom. It's doing well. Let's see if I can show you. There's roots growing right there. There's roots growing all over, but we're not going to repot this one. It hasn't sized up that well. It does, however, have a lead with many roots starting to form right along here. And so we're just going to take a cutting, and we may even take 2 cuttings off of this one. One thing I started to get worried about with this particular plant is you can see from the bottom, there was a lot of half moons, which is great, and you love to see half moons. And as we got further up, we started to get almost all variegated leaves, every other leaf, and you don't want to go all the way variegated. Obviously, there'll be no chlorophyll and no way for this plant to get energy with those newest leaves. So what we do want to do for sure is cut back to a little bit of a greener area. Hopefully we can either start back that half moon pattern or even just more of a marbly pattern. Either way, it's fine with me. And then we are going to take this top cutting and keep growing it out, and you might just get a very beautiful, beautiful, very strongly variegated adansonii specimen here. And might take a mid cutting as well and just prop a 1-leafer or a 2-leafer and see how quickly we can get her to grow. We might even actually put that in our aeroponic chamber and see if we can get those roots to start growing really quickly. And that should probably be another video I should do, is the aeroponic chamber. I really use that a lot, and I really like it. It's easy to use, and it promotes root growth very quickly. So I'm going to bring you in here so that you can see where we're going to make our cuts on this one. All right, so here's our adansonii laying back, relaxing a little bit. You can see there is a new starter root on basically each node interval here. So those will be able to root rather quickly compared to having no root at all, obviously. You can see how white the stem is right here. Once you get to this node interval, you can start to see that it is a good bit more green. And then as you go even further back, you get a lot more green in there. So I'll probably end up cutting back to about right here, somewhere right in there. And I'm going to go ahead and do that first. So if I can, I am just going to push this leaf back a bit so I can get a little bit of space, and then we'll just gently press down, kind of sawing it softly. Almost there. There we go. All right, so that is our new mama base, and as you can see, we got back to where there's a good bit of green on every leaf here. Oh, I'm sorry. We got back to where there's a good bit of green on every leaf here, and hopefully we'll continue to get these half moons or close to half moon variegation on this plant. As for our other plant, right now, this is what she looks like. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leaves. The 7th leaf is starting to come out right there. I am going to take a 2-leaf cutting from right here, and let's just go ahead and do that. So we're going to just cut right there. And so this will be our top cut. That's a very pretty top cut. And we have this 2-leaf cutting that is just a mid cut. We've got 4 roots starting to develop already here. I am going to get a little bit of charcoal on each side of this one, get a little bit on the bottom of this top cutting so that we can dry that out. And we're going to leave those for maybe an hour or so, and then we will get to propping these up. All right, and I think the last monstera we might mess around with today is going to be the Belle of the Ball. It is a Monstera lemon lime. These are very rare and hard to come by. This is a beautiful specimen of the lemon lime. This is the newest leaf here. You can see this variegation right here on this side. It causes a little bit of deformity in the leaf where the variegation is. It's stunted growth. You'll see that throughout the rest of this plant. This plant has 4 leaves and each has great variegation. That newest leaf doesn't show the true color. As it ages, it tends to get a very banana yellow. I would like to say, uh, color. This is a plant that I unboxed in the big unboxing video with my wife. And if I can get a little clip of this plant, then I will show it because it's amazing how far it's come since then. This is another one of the leaves here. And some of you out there might say this looks like an aria. It definitely does not. In person, it definitely does not look like an aria. The leaves are already getting very mature. We already have some obviously great fenestration, and we're already starting to get some inside fenestration there on these two. And that makes this even a more beautiful plant. I don't quite know what I want to do here with this plant. Many people have asked me about this plant, and I just don't want to get rid of it. If I was able to propagate and then maybe sell the top cutting or something like that, I would much prefer to do that. As I said, these are pretty rare, hard to come by, and I may never get the chance to get such a beautiful plant uh, as this one with the variegation in mind. So I kind of wanted to look at this plant today and see what I thought about propagating, if it was time, if I need to give it a little bit longer. Maybe look at the roots, and it might need to be potted up into a larger pot as well. You can see some of the roots are already starting to jump out of the pot, and I've just tucked them back in and made them grow again, but it's getting pretty big. So I'll show you some close-ups of this real quick, and then we'll get to it. Okay, so I've been sitting here staring at this thing for a while. I took some of the top layer of soil off here. I'm having a heck of a time kind of figuring out where I think the nodes would be placed at. On this side here, I'm going to guess there's a node about right there underneath this leaf petiole, and that would be all variegated, which we do not want. I also found, let's see if I can show you where it was at here. You can see that node right under here, that little bitty white dot right there, that's a node. And honestly, from my vantage, it's definitely variegated. I don't know if that's close to full variegation or if you get a little bit of this green that's here down there, but it is a node nonetheless. If I come over to this other side, see if I can show you this. There is a node right there. See if I can point it out for you. Right there is a node. And that one does look to be green and variegated, which would be a good sign. And then all the others are a little too far up for me to really cut from. We do have this big daddy root right there. There is a root growing under here. So I think, let me just get back out here. If I was to cut in here somewhere, I would actually, my top cut would keep all the leaves, and then I would just have a stump base here. And I'm going to guess I would have 3 to 4 nodes on that, 1, 2 that I know of. And this looks like it was pretty heavily node spacing right here. I'd say there's probably 3 or 4 node intervals right here. And so I'm guessing 3 or 4, but guaranteed 2. And hopefully one of those would turn out to be nicely variegated, similar to this leaf right here. You get a good amount of green with that bright banana yellow. going on in there. It's just a very expensive cut to make, so I am pretty nervous about doing it, but I think we're going to do it anyways. And you got to be bold sometimes and make choices, make decisions. This obviously this base will grow well. It's got plenty of roots growing off of it, and our top cut will definitely grow well as well. I cross my fingers on that, knock on wood, but it will have plenty of roots, so should establish pretty quick. This is one of the roots we would be keeping, and that's a thick root right there, very thick. And then there's the root that's already down in the ground here too. So it would grow, and we probably wouldn't even take it out of the pot. We'd actually just cut and leave it. That way we don't disturb the roots, and hopefully it'll grow a little bit quicker. So I'm going to set this camera up so that I can make the cut. All right, here goes nothing. So, see, I'm trying to give you a good angle of this as I do it. We're going to cut about right in there. And the one thing I want to be cautious of is that node I showed you earlier that's down here on the bottom. Don't want to cut through it. Obviously, it'll have a much higher chance of growing if I don't cut through it. Now, I have cut through nodes before, and they actually will still pop, but just don't want to do it if you don't have to. So I'm going to slice a little bit coming this way to keep this root down here on the base, and there's another root on the other side I don't want to cut through. Okay, just do it, man. So I'm going to start cutting. Trying to get you a good view, but I also need to make a good cut here. Okay, so we're good on this side. We just want to make sure we don't get too close and cut this leaf off. I want to keep as many leaves as I can on plants that are this valuable. And like I said, the main thing we're worried about down lower is the node. We're well out of shot of it, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, we're working our way down there. Always step back and assess. Let's see. We're good there. Okay, let's keep on going. I'm just kind of rocking back and forth here. Might have cut a little too far there, but all right, we're over halfway there. And we're well out of the nodes. We just don't want to cut this root off. Other than that, we're going to be good. So we're just going to go ahead and cut this thing through and pray to the plant lords. All right, so that is it. There is our cut. I am going to put charcoal on this side and this side. There's our base as well. There should be a couple nodes on the base there. We are going to leave this in the pot and pray that we get some new growth, new node movement in here. We'll be able to see, I'd say relatively quickly, within a month you'll start to see a couple nodes growing. But that was a big cut. Made me pretty nervous, but it turned out all right. So I'm going to put some charcoal on here and then I'll move on with you. Okay, so here is the lemon lime done. I put charcoal on each side of the cut, and I also have a little bit of a gap there, as you can see, so that it can dry out pretty well. The top was a little flimsy, obviously, because it only has two roots. One of them is kind of out of the ground there. Whoop, the soil. So I took an acrylic pole, put it in there, and just kind of strapped it in for now so it stays a little sturdy. Won't move as much. Also took these little handy dandy, I don't even know what you call these, but see they just stick down in the ground there, and it'll hold those roots in place a lot better so that it won't move as much. Oh, that popped up, didn't it? And that way they can kind of stay in the soil and hopefully root a little better. I'll get the other one here in a second when I have two hands. But so that is this plant, and it is done. So I'll just leave it be for a good long while, and I'll give you an update as it continues to grow. Hopefully we get some node activation down here, and I'll definitely keep you updated when we do. All right, so last thing we're going to do today is prop up or pot up our props. They have been charcoaled, left to dry for 45 minutes, an hour. You can do overnight if you'd like. I find it just enough to dry them out is an hour, and I think that's good enough. So I've got a couple pots, and we're just going to be putting these in sphagnum. Sphagnum mixed with perlite, and there's also some leca balls in there just for aeration. So pretty basic stuff. Just going to throw some sphagnum in each one of our pots, and then I will first take our green on green top cut here and just stick it down in the pot, and then fill it in. Try not to pack it too tight. I actually don't really pack much at all as long as it's decently sturdy. I didn't figure this one would be that sturdy, so I actually got another pole. I'm running out of these things. I need to get another one, but just to strap it in there a little bit so it doesn't keep moving around. So that is our green on green, and we'll sit it to the side and let it grow. Hopefully the large root that's already on there will take off, and we'll have a good sized green on green Monstera deliciosa for too long. So here is our mid-cut adansonii tricolor, and you can see the roots on it right there. There's quite a few little nubs, and this is a mid-cut, so you're just going to bury this whole stem in your substrate of choice. Mine for propagation is always sphagnum. Water propagation is a pretty good idea too. However, I like it to be circulating water, not standing water. I find I get a lot of rot with standing. I barely get any with circulating water. Okay, so that is our adansonii. I just buried it up to the stem, actually a little bit further, and it ought to root out. And we have two nodes on this cutting, so hopefully we get a good shot at some nice variegation. Last but not least, we have the top cut for the tricolor adansonii. This one is beautiful, and if we can keep at least, a couple green leaves going on, and then this other side maybe all variegated. These actually aren't all variegated. There is a bit of green on them, but very pretty, very nice variegation. See if we can maintain that. This will be a very nice adansonii tricolor. So we're going to bury all those nodes and roots in there. And this one is a top cut, so it's going to grow from the top here. And so there is this one. And like I said, I don't even pack these down at all. I really just throw the sphagnum in there, and then it's good to go. I think one of the biggest things for me when it comes to propagating, but just growing in general, is air exchange. The leca is the biggest one, obviously, with air exchange, but I've just seen so much good stuff come from letting it air out, getting oxygen to those roots. That's the biggest key. But anyways, I digress. We are done for the day. Might actually film another video that I'll be putting up another time, because there's, like I said, there's plenty to do in here. Too much to count, honestly. So we've got plenty we got to get going on. But we just did some monstera propping today. That last one made me sweat a little bit. That was a very valuable monstera. So we hope and cross our fingers that we get maybe a plant or two extra out of it, plus our top cut, which is a beautiful top cut. Great variegation. I love that one. That is one of my I guess, favorite plants at the moment. I got that one when it was little bitty. Like I said, I showed that in a video that I did with my wife on unboxing. It was just a little plant, had like maybe 2 leaves on it. One was completely variegated. Uh, and man, it matured quick, and those leaves are already beautifully fenestrated. It's gotten matured quickly. So I love that one. So we will keep you up to date on that. Showed you a couple other plants we propagated, and we got plenty more to come here at Green Shit Garden. So make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be doing this, I promise, more often than once every 3 months now. Now that we're living here at the house, so very happy to be back. And I wanted to just dip my toes back in the water with a propagation video. I'll do some tour videos, and anything else that comes up. We've got some corm videos on alocasias we need to get to as well. But I'm glad to be back, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, like and subscribe to Green Shit Gardens. I'm Jesse, and I'll see you next time.